Mrs. Benner, are you trying to seduce me?
Oh my God, no.
Okay.
I want to be your teacher.
Sure.
Come here. Gentle. I'm not wearing any panties.
The film opens on Rick Stevens, sweet, painfully inexperienced, still a virgin. Behind him is a family best described as a circus. His mother, Lucy, has a serious relationship with pills and liquor. His sister, Kristen, strips at a club.
You're a stripper, Kristen.
And his brother somehow looks like the most normal person in the house. On his way out, Rick runs into his father, Joseph.
My sperm donor.
Technically present, functionally absent, and in the habit of stepping out on his wife. Joseph is here for one thing, the camera memory card he borrowed last week. He said it was for work. In reality, he used that camera to record activities you can probably guess for yourself and forgot to delete the footage. Rick knows and cannot be bothered. Blackmail requires leverage, and his father is a liability. So Rick tells him everything is fine. Somehow, Rick is the most responsible person in this house. Rick has a crush on a girl from school, Nina, and he understands the assignment. Winning her over takes money, which is the one thing his family does not have. So he goes to Jimmy Leach for work. Jimmy manages the club where Kristen dances and runs a side business as a pimp. Notice how many adults in this story have a second job and how few of those jobs are legal. The job is to track down a dancer named Cherish, who has been skipping shifts because she owes Jimmy in advance. Rick shows up at her place. Caught hiding out, Cherish opens negotiations.
Hey, I will give you a blowjob.
Rick, who has no experience whatsoever, does not put up a fight. In exchange, he has to lie to Jimmy about why she has been missing work. Brief as it was, Rick still wants to tell somebody, specifically his best friend and neighbor, Billy. Rick pounds on the Bender front door, but the one who answers is Billy's mother, Pamela. She says Billy is in his room, so Rick walks straight in.
Hey, Billy, guess what?
Billy, it turns out, was enjoying some personal time. Rick, still riding the high of the afternoon, launches into the Cherish story at full volume. As the two of them head out, Pamela heard every word. She sends Billy to the store for cigarettes and snacks. The goal is not snacks.
I was wondering if you could stay and help me with something in the, and since he turned 18.
They sit down in the living room. She makes small talk about Rick and his mother, her best friend and next door neighbor. Then she drops the pretense and asks about what she overheard. Rick panics and suggests she misheard. Pamela pivots to concern. She warns him about diseases, and then, without ever quite saying it, she offers herself as a training exercise. Rick says no, and he has reasons. Her husband, Mr. Bender, sells firearms for a living and keeps the inventory in the house. There is also Billy, his best friend since childhood. But Pamela has a closer. If this reaches Rick's mother, Rick is finished. So really, she is the one making the sacrifice, purely for his protection. Cornered, Rick gives in, and the two of them begin what she is calling a crash course.
Can we just keep it a secret?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Good.
Wish you out of your comfort zone. It's, my God, no.
Okay.
You know exactly what that means. Quick pause. Somewhere in that conversation, there was an exit, and Rick walks straight past it. Comments. Which line was the point of no return? The next morning, Rick wakes up with a lot on his mind. In 24 hours, his life experience has expanded dramatically, and he is not enjoying it. One question: what happens when the people closest to him find out? Kristen, his mother, Billy, who would be devastated, but only one possibility actually scares him. What if Nina finds out? At school, Rick tells Billy he is going after Nina. Billy has bad news. She already has a boyfriend, Kevin Carpenter. Good-looking, athletic, in demand. Mid-conversation, Carlos shows up, son of the richest mob family in town, and he has been listening because he also has his eye on Nina. So Carlos proposes a bet. $1,000 says Rick cannot sleep with Nina before Arbor Day. Billy thinks this is a terrible idea. Rick takes it personally and accepts on the spot. No plan, no strategy, and $1,000 on the line that he does not have. He has also just made a promise about somebody else's decision. Nobody in this movie ever notices that part. At the end of the day, he crosses paths with Nina and Kevin. Kevin, for context, once worked on 4 different girls in a single night, and right then,
We are through.
Rick reads this as destiny. What he is looking at is an opening. The next day in class, an elderly teacher is handing back exam results. Nina has the only perfect score, and then he has a heart attack and goes down right in front of her. School is dismissed. Out in the yard, Rick makes his move and offers Nina a ride to the teacher's funeral before he can finish.
Who said that you could talk to my girlfriend?
Kevin walks over and tells Rick to get away from her. Possessiveness. Badly timed. Nina is already done with him. She turns around and accepts Rick's offer to Kevin's face. So their first date is a funeral, with Jimmy along for the ride. A man died so Rick could get a date, and Rick is treating that as a scheduling win. In the parking lot, the radio lands on a Josh Groban song, Nina's favorite. Rick claims he knows Josh Groban personally. That gets her attention. She asks about the concert coming up and asks Rick to take her. Rick backpedals. Her parents will never approve. Nina says that is not an issue. They are out of town the entire week of the show, and she can stay out overnight without anyone noticing. Rick swallows hard. His one excuse just evaporated. So Rick has a new mission, concert access through Jimmy, who genuinely does know Josh Groban. The plan goes wrong immediately.
So sorry about this slight mishap.
Their car is hit by Father Crewman's, driving a van load of nuns. The priest apologizes and recommends his usual body shop. Meanwhile, at the club, Jimmy is getting bad news from his investors. Business is down, and if it stays down, Jimmy is out, which is exactly when Rick walks in asking for backstage access. Jimmy sees a solution to his own problem. The condition is that Rick moves pills for Jimmy's clients.
Nowhere in the Bible does it say thou shalt not take ecstasy.
He set out to buy a girl's attention and has taken a job that pays in felonies. Concert access? Handled. The $1,000 is still sitting there and Rick has not moved an inch on it. New problem. His mother's car is banged up thanks to the priest, and Rick is no longer allowed to drive it, which leaves one option. Back to Pamela. Rick tries to talk Pamela into lending him her car. She drags it out as long as she can, because the longer it takes, the longer he stays. Eventually, she agrees. Rick starts planning his exit.
Well, I better be going.
It does not work. Rick gets cornered. Rick surrenders. And everything proceeds exactly the way you were expecting. Concert day. One job left, return the rest of Jimmy's product. He goes to pick up the car and runs into Mr. Bender instead, sitting there handling a gun.
Hey, Mr. Bender.
The most comfortable moment of Rick's life.
Nice.
Pamela hands over the keys with one condition: take Billy. Terrible timing. So Rick brings Billy along and lays out the plan. Pick up Nina, drop off the product, go to the concert. The three of them arrive at Jimmy's place. In the car, Nina asks what Rick wants to do with his life. Rick answers, honestly, no idea. Then he asks her. She wants to be a nun. Rick goes quiet. She wants to take vows. He has a bet riding on sleeping with her. Billy finds this hilarious. One of them is planning a life of service. The other has money riding on her. They are, at this moment, in the same car. Rick gets out furious, and without thinking, kicks Pamela's car. Rick and Billy head up while Nina waits in the car. Jimmy explains how the concert access works. Rick just has to claim he is Jimmy's son. Rick has been played. He asks for real tickets.
Go fuck yourself.
His backstage access is a story he has to tell with a straight face. Nina comes upstairs and the three of them get ready to leave. But Billy spots something. Joseph's car parked right there. Rick walks over. Next to the car is a room, and from inside, he can hear his father, engaged in an activity that requires no further explanation. Rick knocks. The door opens on Joseph, Mr. Bender, and one woman. Billy, to his credit, immediately documents the moment on camera. The confrontation does not end in the parking lot. Everyone relocates to a diner, and rather than show shame, the fathers go on the offensive, asking why their sons are at a motel at all, with a girl. Two grown men caught in a motel, negotiating from a position of moral authority. Joseph threatens to tell on them if the photos are not deleted. Rick agrees. The night ends. No concert. Rick's odds with Nina look worse, and the $1,000 is still outstanding. Nina's reaction is not what he expects. She says tonight was incredible, unlike anything she has experienced, and it opened her eyes. Which tracks. Nina has lived a very straight line of a life. One night out with Rick, and she gets the full package. Drug distribution, a parental sex scandal, and a concert that never happened. To her, that is an adventure. To Rick, it is a catastrophe. And Pamela's car now has a dent in it. By morning, Joseph's behavior has already reached Rick's mother. It does not improve her condition. She announces she is checking into rehab soon. While holding a drink, Rick goes to apologize to Pamela about the dent. But when he arrives, he finds her with Father Crewmans, the same priest who hit his mother's car. At some point, you stop asking who is involved with whom in this town and start asking who is not. Once the priest leaves, Pamela works something out. Rick is getting close to Nina, and Pamela is jealous. Rick is only worried about being yelled at over the dent. Pamela could not care less about the car. She uses the moment instead, inviting him inside for a little while, since the house happens to be empty.
Mrs. Bender, I have school.
Skip homeroom. Come on, hurry and do it.
Then Rick heads to school, where Carlos intercepts him to ask how the bed is coming along, sarcastically of course. But in class, something is different. Nina says hello first, progress. The principal introduces the replacement teacher, an elderly nun, roughly as sturdy as the last one, and before the period is over, she follows her predecessor. In this moment of grief, Rick and Billy ask the obvious question, does this mean another day off? That sends them to the principal's office. Instead of apologizing, they float a conspiracy theory accusing Principal Poole of orchestrating the teacher deaths. Poole moves to expel them both. Before he can, he is called away to meet a parent. Alone in the office, Rick finds a file. Inside are photographs of female students in the locker room, Nina included. When Poole comes back, the balance of power has changed. Rick threatens him right back, and they arrive at an understanding. Called in to be punished, walks out the winner. Very Rick. Two people holding leverage over each other, calling it peace. Rick asks Nina out again, and this time she says yes without hesitating. Billy comes along, obviously. One problem. His mother's car is still in the shop. Fortunately, the priest's guilty conscience gets Rick a loaner, any car he wants. He picks the most expensive one on the lot. At the same time, Kristen gets accepted to a well-known university, so she will be leaving soon. Rick and Billy go to pick up Nina. It is a two-seat sports car, which results in not long after, they get pulled over. The car belongs to a high-profile fugitive. Rick goes from big shot to suspect in the space of one traffic stop. Rick is hauled to the police station. Luckily, a lawyer steps in. Anette Stratton-Osborne, very good at her job, who has him out on conditional release almost immediately. Suspicion gets redirected to Joseph, who happens to be doing business in Lithuania. To say thank you, Rick drives her home. On the way, Anette helps herself to the product he's carrying, the leftovers from Jimmy. She assumes it is candy. What follows is an aggressive campaign to seduce Rick. When they pull up to her house, Anette invites him in for a drink. Rick is tempted. Then he thinks about Nina's smile and leaves.
You wanna come in for
Bye.
some tequila?
No.
Barely. The one time Rick makes the right call, there is nobody around to see it. If you have made it this far, you may as well subscribe. It costs nothing and it mildly encourages me. And in the comments, worst adult in this film so far. There are a lot of applicants. Back home, the dancers from the club are throwing Kristen a small going-away party, and Rick has an idea. He finds Billy and pitches it. Turn this into a paid party, tonight, with Kristen's co-workers as the selling point. To keep things moving, they dose the drinks in the kitchen. For the guests, Rick tells Kristen, framing it as a farewell party with drinks.
Yay, party!
Then,
Hi, everyone. You guys are having a party.
Pamela walks out of the kitchen holding a drink. Billy told his mother about the party.
Tylenol. I took the last two.
When Rick goes into the kitchen to deal with those drinks, Pamela comes at him like a predator that has spotted dinner.
Everyone are in the other room.
This is what I'm talking about.
Oh my god.
What? Oh, Rick.
In a house full of witnesses. And of course, Billy catches them. Rick talks his way out, saying Billy's mother drank the wrong thing and tells him to put her to bed. Rick calls Jimmy to ask whether the product is dangerous, since Billy's mom just drank it. Jimmy is far more interested in Billy's mom and heads straight over. Nobody in this film has ever answered the question that was asked. The party goes well. It also goes completely off the rails. The dancers perform without the benefit of clothing. Rick collects a serious amount of money. And then Nina shows up, stunned at what she is looking at. Rick pulls her into his room to explain. It is Kristen's going away party, and everyone here is a co-worker of hers. Nina understands. The mood turns romantic, and right then,
What is going on in here?
Pamela catches them and announces her relationship with Rick. And that is not all.
Which one of you is Rick's friends?
Jimmy's boss, the man who owns the club, shows up too. He thinks Rick is trying to compete with him and accuses him of being the son of one of the mafia families in town. Nina has heard enough. She walks out. Rick chases her, insisting none of it is true. And right then, Carlos and his bodyguard turn up to collect on the bet. In front of Nina, finding out she was the terms of a wager finishes it. Every secret Rick has been keeping arrives at his front door at once. The police arrive over the noise. The party gets worse. Reporters show up to cover it.
I will make it.
Again! You stole my story! Now there's going to be...
Jimmy, Kristen, Billy, and even Nina all end up in jail. Rick walks, thanks to Anette. When he goes to visit, he runs into Principal Poole in there too. The locker room photographs caught up with him. Rick can only afford to bail out Kristen and Nina, using every dollar the party brought in. Kristen loses her university spot anyway because of the criminal record. Then, the worst news. Lucy comes home from rehab, reads a letter blaming Rick for all of it, and ends up in the hospital in critical condition. This is the bottom. His family is in pieces. Nina hates him. Every choice he made along the way was small. He is now standing in the total. Rick goes to church to confess to Father Crumans, but the second he says Pamela's name,
You're the dirty little cocksucker that gave me crap! You're excommunicated! Excommunicated!
yeah, I had a feeling about that one. Ever since the priest walked out of her house. Back at home, Pamela still turns up to make another pass at him, this time with a threat attached. If Rick refuses, she tells her husband everything. And remember, Mr. Bender sells guns and keeps a closet full of them. So Rick is not just cornered, he is cornered by someone with access to an armory. And this is where Rick finally says no. He wants to fix his family first, whatever it costs.
Okay.
I have no plans tonight.
Rick works through the wreckage one item at a time. He applies for an internship at Annette's firm and asks for 2 favors: get Billy out and help Kristen into the university she wanted. Annette happens to be an alum.
You're getting me out. Out?
Yes, of course I was.
Then the hospital. He explains everything to his mother and apologizes for all of it. And the deepest problem in that family finally starts to thaw. She survives. She even gives him advice. Stop messing around and fix things with Nina. Rick settles up with Carlos, who is completely relaxed about it. The bet was a bluff from the start. Rick is forgiven and does not owe a cent. $1,000 of pressure that never existed. He wrecked his life over a dare. Rick walks away lighter. Family, sorted. Carlos, sorted. One thing left, Nina. And he starts to move on. He just walks. No plan, no strategy. Nothing like the Rick at the start of this video, who calculated every step. Then, at the least likely moment possible, Rick nearly flips a chicken truck. It swerves, the crates go everywhere, and in seconds the road is full of chickens running in every direction. In the middle of all that, exactly the way he pictured it, Nina appears through a cloud of chicken feathers. Very romantic. And there, Rick explains everything. Everything he hid. Everything that made her walk away that night. And finally, he apologizes. Sincerely, no excuses. Nina, being who she is, forgives him. No drawn-out drama, no conditions. And they get together. They kiss in the middle of the road, surrounded by chicken feathers. And the movie ends. The bet was never real. The tickets were never real. The only real thing in the entire story is the person he lied to the most.
Jesus fucking Christ!